Hello, and checking to see if we are live. A couple minutes early, but I do like to log on and go live a little early because their delay is sometimes annoying. When I log on, I look at my live streams and I find out that I've been talking for 2 minutes and it wasn't live. So hang with me for a second. I'm getting everything set up so we can talk about networking and why it doesn't suck as much as you think it does. And then we will get started in a couple minutes. If you have questions as well, feel free to send them in to me, either chat or wherever you're watching from. Email me, jen@lawyersuccessnetwork.com is a great way to get a hold of me. But feel free to ask questions and chit chat with me a bit. Get everything all opened up here for you. But luckily for this one, it's just me talking. I'm just talking through a few things. So we'll see. And just give me 1 minute here and we will get started. One more minute. Have to wait for everybody to get here. We can have all kinds of fun. And then we will talk about all of the things that you hate about networking. And I'm still waiting for those crazy questions to come in. So okay, I'm gonna start. I think I've let enough time buffer through. I'm hoping that everyone can see what's going on and chat away if you need to. So when I was coming up with this, all of my lives tend to be triggered by something. And they tend to be triggered by something I see on social media or something someone says to me or something that for some reason just triggered up. I'm like, oh, I should do a live about that. And one of those things that came up the other day was someone was talking about marketing. And I think it was in a bankruptcy context, probably because I tend to hang around a lot of bankruptcy attorneys. And talking about how maybe networking could be useful, but that they couldn't quite figure out what to do with that or how to do it. And was it really worth it? What's the ROI on something like that? Isn't it better to buy leads? And so that's kind of where this came from when I was going through and trying to figure out what to do a live about. And I don't know why I scheduled this the day after a holiday. I think I was way more ambitious when I was scheduling things yesterday than I should have been. But let's go through. I'm going to talk about the actual ROI and some examples and numbers of what networking looks like. If you go into networking and your viewpoint is this is going to suck, guess what? It's going to suck. So I would encourage you to at least to keep an open mind if you think networking is a waste of time. I built an entire practice on networking and it was slightly accidental. It would have happened a lot faster had I known that, what I know now, but isn't that how everything is in life? So what I just want to talk about today was kind of the ROI on networking and why it's beneficial to do it the right way and how it can really build your bottom line. A lot of attorneys will say that the cost of networking is too high. They prefer to buy leads. And I think that was one of the other comments I saw online that probably triggered this. They were talking about buying leads and they were talking about buying like 20 leads. And I think this was a personal injury lawyer. So leads for personal injury lawyers are pretty expensive. And they were hoping to get one case out of the 20 leads and they were going to pay like $10,000 for these 20 leads. It was something crazy like that. And the justification was, well, if I get one good case, And personal injury, that's what you're always looking for, right? You're always looking for that one good case. Then buying all these leads was effective. And if you're relying on leads, they're transactional. There's no relationship involved. They're not going to be encouraged to work with you unless you make a really good sales pitch. Again, something lawyers love to do is sell things. And so you get a lot of lower quality referrals. You have to hire someone to deal with your leads. It's expensive to buy leads. And it works for some people. And I'm not saying that one way is better than the other. I'm just wanting you to see the ROI in networking. The other thing about networking is the cost, the other real cost of it. And that's time. So if you're doing networking haphazardly, or you're doing networking so that you don't really have a plan in place and you're just kind of throwing business cards around, you likely are wasting your time. And every hour you put into networking is not going to give you the ROI that you want. So what do? How does that ROI work? The way I built my practice was actually getting to know people. And let me tell you the value that networking has if it's done correctly. And I'm, again, not the be all end all of networking. I'm sure there's lots of gurus out there who will tell you I'm full of crap. However, the one thing I recognized when I started networking was I all of a sudden had a much better client experience. I was now looking for ways that my resources could help me or help my clients. So it wasn't so much helping me, but as a lawyer, I like to problem solve. I like it when someone brings me a complete mess and I like to strategically put the pieces in place. That is my superpower. And without a network, you are very tunnel vision. You are looking only for the specific area that you're looking at. You don't have a network to refer them out to. You don't have the ability to know what other people are doing, because part of networking is understanding what all these other industries do. If you're a bankruptcy attorney and you're not talking to financial advisors and accountants and CPAs, like what are you doing? Who are you referring these people to, and are they referring back to you? Your client experience, when they start realizing that you're the go-to person for everything that they could want, not because you do all the things, but because you can send them to the right place, you get more and more and more clients. So it's not just a one transaction thing where you're looking for, oh, I'm going to refer something to someone else and they're going to refer it back to me, or they're going to refer something back to me and it's a one-to-one deal. That's not how it works. Exponentially, it grows though. We add an attorney to the firm every year for like 4 years, trying to keep up with bankruptcy work during an up economy. So this is 2016 through 2020-ish. Q1 of 2020 was my best, up to that point, was my best bankruptcy revenue ever before COVID hit. So that was all done through networking and marketing. Networking can be a lot of different things. I think people have a vision of it being you go and sit in a big room and everyone talks about what they do, which is horribly boring. Or you go to a mixer and you exchange business cards. Again, who wants to do that? That's why it gets such a bad name. But what would happen if you got one extra client a month from strategic networking? What does that do? What's your average case number? So let's look at a bankruptcy concept. And I'm throwing numbers out there. This is not what I charge for things. This isn't anything out there. But let's say your average bankruptcy client is $2,000. And through networking, you're able to establish a relationship with 10 CPAs. Now, the 10 CPAs aren't going to refer your bankruptcy case a month, but over a year, those 10 CPAs will average one case a month coming into you. And that's $24,000 into your firm. Now, if you spent 100 hours doing that, then you've wasted your time. But there are strategic ways to hit groups of CPAs. There are strategic ways to market to industries and be the go-to person in your industry. So when you're thinking about networking, you're always thinking about what's the strategic way to do this so that you spend the least amount of time and make it efficient. I will say for networking, Zoom has been fantastic for networking because we don't have to drive somewhere, sit at a lunch meeting for 2 hours, drive back, and we don't feel bad about doing a 30-minute meeting because you didn't have to drive anywhere. So I schedule my networking meetings now for 25 minutes because I don't need more than 25 minutes. And it's very efficient on Zoom. We're not eating, we're not drinking. Maybe we are, but it's very efficient. When you factor in your time that goes into networking, yes, it can be extremely costly that way, especially if you're just throwing things hoping it'll work. So I would reframe how you think about networking a little bit, especially when it comes to ROI. The referrals that you have that come in from networking are almost 100% closed. Whereas the referrals that you have coming in from lead generation are probably like 10% actually set up an appointment with you. And of those, maybe you do close the one set up an appointment with you, but it's still, 10% of the people that you're getting the leads for and you're paying for. And I'm not going to get down on lead companies. There are time and place ways to negotiate your contracts, all of those things with leads. But think about the ROI of having happy clients, a great client experience, and then having all those resources in your network. The reason why I focus on all of this is because lawyers were cheap. We want to bootstrap everything. We want to do everything. Like if I'm online scheduling out automations on a website, I switched my job to consulting because why am I as a lawyer doing those things? You can pay someone to do a lot cheaper. So we're cheap and we get hit up all day for people trying to sell us like these fantastic services. And there isn't a one size fits all like solution out there for contact management. Like you have no idea the roads I've been down with contact management systems, and everyone's trying to make the next big thing. So I think keeping in mind that your ROI is only going to be as good as you're willing to strategize and that lawyers are cheap. You have to figure all of that out. And New Year's resolutions, I don't do them. They're usually to get out of debt or to lose weight. For business owners, it's often you're going to do like 4,000 things in the first quarter, and then you do one of them because you get overwhelmed and busy. So if you are thinking about business development, maybe you're at a firm and you want to build a book of business, you're thinking about business development, you have to be the go-to person. If you want to be the rainmaker, you want to be the one bringing in, those are not leads. Those are not generic things. You need to be known as a thought leader. You need to be known as the person to go to for all kinds of questions, not just your industry, but a lot of times they start with you for your industry. And be strategic about things. Focus on the professionals that have your clients. Now, as a bankruptcy attorney, used car sales guys were great referral partners because they're running credit all day. But people often don't think of networking with those kinds of professions. They think, oh, accountants and financial advisors. I often would get financial advisors that think that they wouldn't be good car partners for me or good networking partners. They're wrong. I go through all of that in my Easy Not Sleazy course of the way you should approach different industries and how to do that. And the reason why I decided to do this was because I saw someone posting about, hey, maybe I should be connecting with more. I think it was a real estate agent. Maybe I should be connecting with more financial people. I'm like, yeah, you probably should be connecting with more financial people. If you're in real estate, a real estate agent is the very first person people often go to when it comes to anything to do with the sale of their house, but maybe they need a trust set up. Maybe they need some tax planning done. Real estate agents are great for bankruptcy attorneys. There's all kinds of ways to strategically place yourself so the ROI of your networking comes back to you. But if you do not invest in how you do it, it will feel like a waste of time. And then it feels sleazy and wasted. So I would like you to reframe networking. And the reason why I'm focusing on this is I did launch a course last month. I've done this at the live workshop for a few firms, but I did launch a course called Easy Not Sleazy. I'm an introvert. I hate the idea of networking. The way I reframed it was, first of all, I like money. I like business coming in. And also it was very much helping my clients to have good people to refer them to when I could spot their issues of things that I don't do. So putting all that out there, I am going to share with you what the easy, not sleazy modules look like, just because it hit all of these things that we just talked about. It hits all that ROI, it hits everything on there. And there is a lot of sarcasm with this course. Networking has such a bad name, and the ideal of sales has such a bad name. So I started it out with you are always selling, no matter what. You are always selling. And this course is about 4.5 hours long to get through all of the modules. But we start out with the idea of you're always selling, and how do you reframe that? And then it jumps right into how do you help others get what they want? And why would you want to do that? Because that is your key to networking. It's actually helping others. And it makes it, again, feel like you're just not in it for you. Elevator pitch and branding. I hate elevator pitches. And everyone knows this if you've ever been networking with me. I hate elevator pitches. I think they are stupid and no one listens to them after the first 10 seconds. So I talk through how to get around that. Mixers, total waste of time, right? Unless there's free alcohol. Wrong. They can be worth it. But again, if you just run in handing out and throwing business cards at people, you're going to feel like it's wasted. Structured networking groups, all of those fun networking groups out there that cost money, first of all, to be in the group. And then they cost your time to be in the group. How do you make the best use of that? I will say structured networking groups was how I built my business in combination with other strategies. The part that most people miss is getting down here in module 7, gathering and teaching your referral sources. You have to teach people how to find your clients, how to identify them. And that whole module gets you into how do you gather and teach them. And then putting it all together in a plan. So at the end, you have a plan that puts all these things in context. So if you're thinking about your average case, so let's say your average case is bankruptcy, $2,000. Say you spend 2 hours a month networking, you got 2, which I'm not even gonna do billable hours suck. Let's say you have 2 billable hours and you bill out at $500 an hour. So you're wasting $1,000, if that's what you're billing out at, on networking. So if you just bring in one case, there's your ROI, you got 50% ROI on it, right? No, 100%. You put in 1,000, got 2,000 back. However, those are cumulative. Those hours that you spent on those 2 meetings or 2 hours of whatever you did for networking, they don't just go away at the end of the month. They continue. You know how many referrals I still receive for bankruptcy work that I haven't actually taken a bankruptcy case in 3 years myself. And I had to look up one the other day. I met a person in 2015 and got a referral from them the other day. So it's cumulative. It adds up if you keep consistently doing it and working it. So that's where I get down to my easy, not sleazy course. It's putting this all together. The pushback I get when we talk about ROI is I'm not going to pay for this. I don't want to, I'm not going to pay for this. Well, first of all, are you going to do it if you don't pay for it? Because that's, again, a driver. And we're cheap. So what I did, the course is based at $997, so less than 2 billable hours if you're on a 500 billable hour. If you are a bankruptcy attorney, it is like 1/3 of the cost of one case. It's access to everything. There's nothing that gets kept out of it. There's nothing that's, you just get access to the whole thing. There are all kinds of worksheets. There's an actual plan in there. It will help you create the whole thing that you're looking for. And you also get access to special mastermind sessions and me more often than others do. What I did, share the screen. I have a deal through January 19th. And the reason for this is because New Year's resolutions tend to die off around the 16th of the month. So if you use the code SAVE200 through January 19th, you will get $200 off. So now we're getting down to 1 billable hour. This is a fun course to teach. I love doing it like with a firm virtually or in person. I've got a couple set up this year to do them in person, different places, but it's a fun course to listen to as well. And the reason for it again is a little sarcasm involved. So there's a deal out there. It is not as good as the pre-launch. We did pre-launch and launched in December, and the feedback so far has been fabulous. But I'm putting it out there. If you're thinking, oh, I'm not going to pay money to learn how to network. All this stuff is going to be, I'll just whirl around in circles and figure out my ROI someday. I talked to someone yesterday. It was New Year's Day, by the way. And I had a text message exchange. And we were talking about ROI. And we were talking how when we started out networking and in a particular group in 2016, we did everything wrong. Like I would have been so much further ahead if I had actually done it correctly. And I wish I would have spent less than 2 billable hours figuring it out before I wasted 3 years to do it. So anyway, I'm putting it out there until January 19th. Anyone can use this code. It's SAVE200. It's out there on the website. You'll see it on LinkedIn. You'll see it on the YouTube channel for Rebel Esquire. And again, the reason why I'm doing it is we get sold to all day. Lawyers are constantly getting told, oh, you need to pay $1,000 a month for Google ads. You need to have $2,000 a month for some AI-based research thing. You need to have, $2,000 a month for this and $500 a month for that. By the time we get to other things, we're burnt. We can't do it. So it's not that we don't have the money. It's most of the time we think we can do it ourselves and we don't want to listen. Which I know you have clients just like you where they don't do anything you tell them to do. They try to do it themselves and then you have to fix it for them. Lawyers are very much guilty of that same thing because I happened to be just texting someone earlier today asking a bunch of stupid questions about their industry. And then I was like, sorry, I just totally picked your brain for free and I owe you drinks. So go out there, make networking easy and not sleazy, and have fun with networking and sales because your client experience gets better. Your ROI goes up exponentially every year that you've done networking correctly. And you have the ability to take a book of business with you if you're not at your own firm and you want to go to a firm or want to be marketable out in the market. So there it is. I'm happy to answer questions. I will stop sharing in a second here as soon as I figure out where my screen's at. I am looking at chat trying to figure out if anyone has any questions, but reach out to me. My email address is jen@lawyersuccessnetwork.com. It's not hard. It's kind of a long domain. I wish I made it a little bit shorter. Speaking of marketing and sales, but just email me if you have questions. If you want this live or even a virtual live for your firm, let me know. I have a couple openings. First half of the year is pretty booked. If you're in my Lawyer Success Network Facebook group, I posted travel schedule for the first half of the year and it's getting a little crazy. But if you want it live, if you want it virtually live, let me know and happy to do it. Stop sharing this. Questions, let me know. Think about networking different. Networking is about your clients. It's not about you, but helping them helps your bottom line. And your ROI, again, if you can add one case a month, what would that do to your bottom line? Keeping in mind that if you just run around like a Tasmanian devil, it probably won't generate what you think it's going to generate. And that's where networking gets a bad name. So I hope you're doing it correctly, and I will see you all